Well, hello and welcome to our special broadcast, Bad Medicine. Now, I'm Ashmit Kumar. The death of 69 children in Western African nation of Gambia has been linked to 4 cough syrups produced and manufactured by Haryana-based company Maiden Pharma. And while the state government has already stopped production at the company's Sonipat facility on the back of multiple violations, the fiasco has harmed India's reputation as the world's pharmacy. External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar has spoken to his Gambian counterpart, promising to investigate and take action if necessary. While experts on our channel have raised questions over the lapses in licensing procedures, the safety efficacy of cough syrups sold in India have also come under the radar. Several states have already swung into action and have begun assessing commercially available cough syrups for contamination. And well, to take this discussion forward, we are now joined by Dr. Viranchi Shah, National President at the Indian Drug Manufacturers Association, J. Jaiseelan, Vice President, Industry Division at the Indian Pharmaceutical Association, and also with me is Sanjeet Singh Lamba, CEO, Biocuris Pharmaceuticals. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show. My colleague Ekta Batra is also with us. If I may come to you, Mr. Viranchi Shah, the first question I'd like to ask is the concerns that have been raised is that this could serve to be only merely the tip of the iceberg, that there are issues that go far beyond just Maiden Pharma, that quality control issues is not an isolated incident. Is this time for perhaps a bigger rethink by the industry? Does this call into question other players and other practices in the industry as well?
Thank you for having IDMA on this platform. I think we are trying to read too many things from what this recent incidents has happened. The information that we have as IDMA is both preliminary and partial. And I think we should wait for a very fair investigation both in Gambia and in India on this issue. The government has very recently set up a monitoring committee on this, headed by a very eminent scientist, pharmacologist, Dr. Y.K. Gupta. So I think rather than coming to judgments and conclusions, we at IDMA would like to wait for some sort of concrete information and concrete investigation on what went wrong, and then only we can derive some action plan on what could have went wrong and what we should do as an industry, as a nation, if at all something has went wrong so bad. How do we prevent the recurrence? So my take would be, let us wait until the truth is out.
Okay, but Dr. Shah, this is not the first time this has happened. The reason why it's probably got so much attention is because the WHO has put out a product recall. It's on an international scale that this entire incident has taken place and has probably put India's reputation on the line to a certain extent as well. We have seen incidents of DEG contamination in India in the past, and that's probably where the IDMA should have stepped in. The last incident which had taken place in India was in 2020. So from that perspective, why hasn't any concrete step been taken place from an industry body standpoint?
So let me tell you that IDMA has 22 technical committees with us on the board. And in any endeavor, any step that is required related to the trade and industry, we are always a part of the efforts with the government. When this last happened, I think it happened in '84. That was one major incident that had happened, and IDMA was a part of those discussions. Just to appraise you that after that incident, the nation has learned, and the current requirements or the standards for the propylene glycol and glycerin in India, in the Indian pharmacopoeia, are at par with any international pharmacopoeia. They are equivalent to the limit for the diethylene glycol and the monoethylene glycol. As we stand today, has been revised long back. They stand at 0.1%, which is in line with the US pharmacopoeia and the British pharmacopoeia. So we cannot say that we did not learn from the past. At the same time, we must also understand that there was a similar incident that had happened in Nigeria sometimes back in 2010. And these products were found, these were anti-malarial products found to be substandard, very grossly substandard. They were claimed to have been manufactured by one Indian company. And after, there was again a hue cry at that point in time. But after investigation, it so turned out that those products which were labeled as made in India had actually originated from one of our neighbors. So I think we should keep our fingers crossed, let the investigation get over, let us get the facts out, and then we should jump to the conclusion.
Okay, well, the last previous incident that took place was in 2020, sir. But Mr. Jayasheelan, I want to get your thoughts on board, and I want you to put on your hat of a promoter, because you do have a pharmaceutical company that does export drugs to Africa. You have been doing so for the past 30 odd years. What do you think, in your experience, actually went wrong in this particular case?
Good evening to all. I am having a hat of Indian Pharmaceutical Association, and you also asked my personal input. Both way, I am a professional and I am a promoter. I am a technical person as well as promoter of pharma. First, we should accept this. For any company, any medicines cannot kill this kind of 68 or 66 children. Like my colleague said here, Viranjit Bhai said, that the investigation is in process, and you are quoting about WHO. WHO also said it is because of E. coli infection. So I'm not sure what has happened, right, in this incident till, like what he said, finally we are getting the conclusion from the expert body. Coming back as a promoter, we are enjoying very good share in Africa, and I want to tell you, we are not selling medicine, but saving lives of trillions of people in African countries. Without Indian medicine, it's not our words. We are not telling from India side.
But sir, I just wanted to ask you that in this particular case, since you do export drugs to Africa, what do you think could have gone wrong based on the fact that, or based on the assumption that it is the case of DEG poisoning of 4 cough and cold syrup drugs which are manufactured by Made in Pharma and were exported to Gambia? Let's take that hypothetical situation and give us your perspective on it. Yes.
Yeah, if you want me to hypothetically answer, he has already told, the solvent quality has been already well defined by Indian Pharmacopoeia. Something, if there is a gap, it should be the problem of solvent, not with the active pharmaceutical ingredient or the process. As it is hypothecated, the solvent, some kind of impurity level, which would be more than the normal accepted level. If the impurity level is more, then that would have caused this damage. That is what hypothesis WHO is also telling in one front. So technically, the solvent supplied by, I don't know, it may not be directly in this case from the company. I perceive that way. It might be through some traders. We need to check. This expert committee will come with more details once they find the problem is, if impurity level is more with this solvent. They'll go back who has supplied it, who has manufactured it. Might be in another, say, couple of weeks, we'll have real data in hand. If you want me to hypothecate, then the problem would be in the solvent.
Okay, so generally what happens, and probably with your company as well, is that the API or the solvents have to get tested before the final drug is manufactured? That's the protocol?
Any material for that matter, even water coming in, any material as per good manufacturing practice, any material coming into the factory has to be tested. It would be placed in quarantine. After testing only, whether it will be approved or rejected, then only the material goes into the store and then to production. So that is the basic thing followed by any pharma industry.
Okay. Dr. Lamba, you've looked at a lot of plants in your history of the pharmaceutical space, and you have worked with the likes of Ranbaxy as well in the past. Give us your sense in terms of the violations that this particular plant had. For example, the plant being under renovation, and hence that reduces the chance of seeing the plant in a steady state, lack of a logbook, etc. What does that point to, according to you?
Hi, thanks. So I think this looks to be, as Dr. Viranshi Shah said, that of course there is no doubt that we have to wait for investigation to get over, but I think there are very clear indicators. Especially a show cause notice has been given by the government to Made in Pharma. If you look at their violations of current good manufacturing practices in this, Now, these issues are different. I'm not saying that this happened because of this, but one thing is very clear. There are GMP violations at Made in Pharma right from the material. The material has not been tested, it seems, as per the Indian Pharmacopoeia. There are violations with regard to process validation. That means the process which was followed for this has not been tried and tested and validated for this product. The third area is that there are violations as far as availability of records, including logbooks, including raw materials, their batch numbers. There are also variations on the batch numbering, which is followed on the records. That's the reason a show cause notice has been given to the company. Now, since the organization is on a shutdown, I think it's very important to really look at that there are GMP policies and guidances and the laws is in place, but the responsibility lies on a manufacturer to make sure these GMP norms are adhered to, are followed completely, because we are looking at the lives of the people. These are kids below 2 years of age who have suffered. I think my heart goes all out to, for the patients, parents, see what's going on in their minds. It's our responsibility, and the onus lies on us as all Indians, whether we are regulators, whether we are industry, to look at that the patient is a patient everywhere, whether it is India or different parts of the world. And we must ensure that the good manufacturing practices which have been listed in our Schedule M, they are adhered to in all aspects.
But Mr. Lamba, according to you, what do you think went wrong in the supply chain? Was it actually the API which was contaminated, the solvent that was contaminated, or do you think that it was the state of the plant and the manufacturing process which was undertaken by Made in Pharma? Some regulatory experts have pointed out that this is a clear case of data integrity as well. In that case, do you think that there was a problem with the process in the plant, or do you think that it was a problem with the solvent?
Primarily, this looks to be an issue of the solvent. Now, of course, the investigation is going on based on my experience, and also this kind of contamination which has happened in the past. It seems to be an issue of a solvent. Now, there are various regulations on the processes, but because of these processes, a patient, especially a kid, won't die. It looks to be a direct cause of a material which has been ingested, including contamination of diethylene glycol and propylene glycol, because this has happened in the past. Even 4 cases of the samples have been concluded that it contained diethylene glycol, and the recent cases of all diethylene glycol contamination resulted into the nephrotoxicity for the patients. So this clearly points out to a solvent contamination. Probably an industrial grade solvent has been used in a pharmaceutical grade product. Probably this is one area which is a potential cause.